Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast making ancient wisdom relevant. With your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator of the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. It is episode number 13 something or other. 1377. 1377. And it's Q&A day for all our listeners. This is when people mail in questions, and we try our best to give an answer. We do this every Saturday. If you got a question you want us to answer, something about applying Vedic teachings to your life, or questions about Vedic teachings, or maybe you've got some struggle, or you're climbing over some hill, or trying to hop over a fence, or maybe there's a sinkhole going on in your life and how to apply Vedic teachings, send us an email to Miss Mara, wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com, or you can do it right from our new site, right? Go right to our site and write a question up there, wisdomofthesages.com. We also want to say we are a community-supported podcast. If you like what we're doing, go to our website, wisdomofthesages.com, become a monthly member. We really appreciate it. It's how this boat keeps floating. And I really want to thank everybody that that has joined and has been supporting us over the time, or they're new and they want to support us, because we really love doing this, and we just want to get deeper and deeper into it, huh? Yeah. Kaustubha, good morning. How are you, beautiful man?
Okay, beautiful, sir.
Thank you. You are beautiful. I see your inner beauty.
What are you trying to say? There's no external beauty? Why are you trying to shame me like that?
Say that. It's like, well, he has inner beauty. That is like a backhanded compliment, isn't it?
It is.
How's it going?
Inner beauty is more important. How's it going? It's going good.
I guess everyone's got inner beauty, right?
Well,
there's different levels. There's external beauty. You may or may not have that.
Okay.
Then there's internal beauty, like a mental. Some people are just jerks, beautiful and minds. They might not have inner beauty either. But the soul, if you go a little deeper, everybody's got gold in there.
That's true.
Real inner, like the core to the center of the earth, like that. That's beautiful.
That's beautiful. I'm looking forward to tomorrow, Raghunath. We got the big picnic going on. Wisdom of the Sages, Bhakti Center coming together. Central Park.
Excited, singing, dancing, feasting on potluck goodies. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Bring my kids.
That's at from 4 till 7, or maybe 4 till sundown, something like that. Wow. And Cherry Hill, right in the middle of Central Park. You enter at 72nd Street and go kind of towards the middle of the park. But there's directions. It was at bhakticenter.org. You go in there and you find community picnic, and there's a little map. Real simple.
Yeah. If you're listening on Zoom right now, go to the message board and tell me if you're going, so I can be excited or sad.
Okay.
Meaning, if you're not going, I'm sad. It doesn't mean, oh, you're going, I'm sad. I didn't mean it like that. I'll be excited if you're coming. Get to see you, get to meet you. Some of you guys, I'll get to meet you for the first time.
Greet you.
Meet you, greet you. So Q&A day. Any other announcements, Miss Mayor?
Yeah, there's no show tomorrow.
No show tomorrow because of the picnic.
Yeah, we got Back to Recovery Group meetings today at 9:30 a.m. and 1 Eastern Time. And also, Wisdom of the Sages is hosting the 2nd annual spiritual retreat in the sacred city of Mayapur.
Woo!
The birthplace of ecstatic kirtan. This retreat is not to be missed. We'll be going to Lord Chaitanya's birthplace, Srivas Thakur's house, where the loving ecstasy of kirtan overflowed, Jagannath Mandir, Ganga sunset boat rides, and visits to surrounding villages. Email wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com for more info.
I call it a level 2 pilgrimage. You know,
level
people
2.
are sort of like very new to this. I don't know. It's special, but I feel like if people have been around for a while, maybe even been on pilgrimage before, when you sort of like opted in, this is me, I'm a Krishna Bhakta, Mayapur is like, boom, it's so wonderful. We had such a wonderful trip last year. I'm looking forward to doing this again. Incredible prasad, meaning sacred food. Lots of hearing and chanting, magnificent darshan, cool places in a tropical backdrop, the Ganges River flowing. Yeah, I loved it.
Kirtana Jivas.
Kirtana Jivas. That was really
That was good.
special. Okay. Going to different people's houses and having programs at their houses that we knew, that was really special.
It was. Now, tomorrow's the day off, Mary, right? Did we say
Yeah,
that?
that's right. No show tomorrow.
No show.
Show
What are you
tomorrow,
going to
back
do?
on
Because
Monday.
just walk around in circles, like
I'll be okay, Raghunath.
rubbing your face. What do I do with my life?
I'll be all right. I'll be all right.
All right, so let's start with the questions. This is from Mike. We're allowed to read the name, right?
Yes.
Mikey Goldberg.
Sometimes not.
That's a good name, Mikey Goldberg. I like when adults go with the child thing, like Mikey. Right,
Hey,
Stubby? Right,
here we
Stubby?
go. Stephanie, and the new nickname Mosh Pit for Drummond. Stephanie and Mosh Pit will be at the picnic, Raghunath.
Oh, Stephanie Mosh Pit will be there. Great.
Stephanie Mosh Pit. That's a good one.
That name stuck. I called him Mosh Pit one day. It stuck with him. Okay. Mikey Goldberg says, hello, I have recently gotten into Bhakti and I feel very drawn to the teachings and the path. I've been listening to the podcast daily for about a month after reading Punk to Monk and The Journey Home. All right, Punk to Monk and Journey Home. I want to get copies of the Bhagavatam and the Gita, and I don't love reading online. Do people mainly read from Database or other sites, or are there places online to buy copies?
Why don't we handle this question first?
Every book distributor is like, oh, wow. I've been waiting for this.
You just go to Amazon, you can get them, or anywhere, any local ISKCON temple will have them, but if you could just buy them on Amazon.com too. Just Google Bhagavad Gita as it is, or Srimad Bhagavatam BBT, like that.
Yeah, you want to get Prabhupada's, of course, the Prabhupada's commentaries. Those are the ones we study and read.
Widely available.
Available.
Before too long, we're going to kick into that. I want to get out in front of it this year. When everyone donates sets of Bhagavatams.
Oh, yeah.
What do they call
that?
Again?
You can get right in front of it right now. This guy wants a Bhagavatam.
No, yeah.
Get right out there.
Yeah, so could you, Raghunath.
I didn't say it. You did.
Everybody, let's all.
My job
get behind this idea that Raghunath buy Mikey Goldberg a set of Bhagavatams. Let's shame him if he doesn't.
Okay.
No. Yeah, you can find them there.
Anyway, he says this.
Okay, what's the other question?
Is this normal? I know there's a sign.
No.
Oh, I missed.
Okay.
I
Back it up. Is what normal?
Is what normal? Want a Bhagavatam? He says, one other question.
Yeah.
I have is I started to dive deeper into Bhakti, and I have been feeling a lot more disconnected from friends and family.
Yeah, that is normal. That happens.
I have become increasingly disengaged in idle talk, uninterested, and at times disturbed by gossip.
Yep.
AKA snobby.
No.
But it can come off snobby. But yeah, I understand. It's just like, oh, wait a second. I don't want to go there. Is this normal? I know this is a sign that I need to meet more and spend more time with like-minded people. But how can I control my thoughts and emotions when spending time with the people I love and care about and not let it bother me? Ooh, that's a good one, huh? It seems like we all go through this phase oftentimes. And I think it's similar to when you say clean up your diet. If you clean up your diet, then when people are eating around, you're like, well, why would they be eating that? And sometimes you can get a little judgmental. Why are they eating that? Or why doesn't he understand this? By eating this, it's going to have this result. And I don't want to go to that restaurant because they don't have anything I can eat. When you start becoming really refined in who you want to become, you'll realize I have a lot less in common with the masses of people, even people that were very close to me. Sometimes I found, Kostuba, that my only relationship with some people as friends was on things that I didn't want to be anymore. For example, teenage guy, and I'm just talking about sex and girlfriends and making fun of people. That's what I did when I was 18. Talk about sex, talk about girls, and make fun of other people.
We used
And
to
once
have this thing, Raghunath, where you'd sit on a stoop, right?
me?
No, well, I don't know if you did, but like my friends do
Well,
a
you
lot
just
of
said
this.
we.
Yeah,
We.
me and my friends sit on a stoop, and then you just make fun of everybody that walks by. It's just like
Yeah. Yeah,
just
I did
everybody
that
that
too.
walked by.
I wouldn't sit on a stoop, but it was just sort of like that's what I would do. Just it's just horrible, isn't it? Just cruel,
It's terrible.
funny,
I mean,
funny at
kids are gonna
somebody
do that
else's
kind of stuff.
expense.
You know, your kids, you do
You know,
that kind of
especially in New
stuff.
York, it's like it was like always a freak show too. We were part of the freak show, and I'm sure people said it to us. People would be walking in like, who they think they are, walking around in that, wearing that. You know, sometimes if you're really rude, you'd say something out loud. You
Well,
know,
that
hey,
was all
nice.
the
You
time.
know, back then, if someone
No,
died,
when I say we make fun of them, I meant out loud to their face.
oh, out loud. Okay,
Yeah,
that was more rude.
yeah, it was rude. All right.
But the point is, that's what we did, and of course, we talked about girlfriend sex. Look at her, judging, rating her body, and stuff like that. And then when I
That's
realized,
another
like, that's
yeah.
not the type of person I want to be,
Okay.
and I'm going to cut that language. I'm not going to talk about girls like things. I'm not going to talk about girls like something to consume and rate them according to their external body. And I don't want to find fault with people. And those were like sort of principles that I got into when I wanted to be on a spiritual path. I realized like some of my friends I had absolutely nothing to talk about with. Like
Yeah.
absolutely nothing.
They weren't ready to come with you.
They weren't ready to come with me. And then
evolve with
I
you.
felt weird and awkward and I liked them, but all my likeness for them was based on something else. But you know, sometimes I did found, I think in a mature state of mind now, I can say sometimes other people grow also, you know, sometimes they may not grow. It's just like different plants. I have this one tree in my orchard. It's a East Coast persimmon. And this thing has taken like 3 years to sort of kick in and develop a root system where another one is flourishing. They're huge, 20 feet tall or 15 feet tall, and they're giving fruit. This one's taken its time and it's going to establish itself in maybe a couple of years from now. So some people are ready to go to a certain place, but it sometimes takes a year or a decade or a lifetime or maybe never at all. We've seen that as well. So in retrospect, I'm just sort of like kind to everybody, but I don't invite everybody in my life anymore. And for me, I had to make a conscious step away from a circle of friends because it was too hard for me. I was too attached and I was too in the mix of all my friends and my people and my scene that I actually had to make a conscious effort to cut and then reintegrate people into my life on my terms. Make sense?
You're gonna reintegrate. I'm gonna reintegrate you into my life on my terms. Is that what you tell them?
That didn't sound good. Or else I could just be. Otherwise, I'm under their influence.
On Krishna's terms.
Yeah, that sounded horrible. Mara, do you know what I mean by this? I don't think Mara's done it so much. I mean, Mara's the middle path. You and me are a couple of extremists.
Okay.
What did you? I mean, Mara's. Tell us. I'm curious because do I sound like an extremist?
No, but I mean, for me, maybe because I was older when I got into Krishna consciousness, I wasn't able to like just sort of I didn't make such a big extreme cut for my friends and family. But what I experienced was, you know, you take a little distance because it's like, you're not eating meat. You don't want to talk about the same things. You don't want to drink anymore, you know, those sorts of things. So it naturally created a little distance. And at first I was like, sort of had the same thing that Mikey Goldberg's going through where like, man, like this person's talking this way. Like I'm trying not to talk, you know, being disturbed by a lot of the speech. But then like after some time and space, I was like, oh, wow. I remember calling one of these people in particular that I'm thinking of. I remember calling her on her birthday and I was like, what are you doing today to celebrate your birthday? And she's like, oh, I'm making lasagna. And I was like, oh, for who? And she's like, oh, this contractor guy who works for me, his son got in a really bad car accident. So I wanted to bring over a bunch of food for him. And I was like, she's cooking for someone else, like just to service on her birthday.
Mm.
You know, I was like, what a devote, like it was like such a naturally. And so it's like, after I took some space, I was able to see like these sorts of people. It's like, oh, like, wow, you are such a devotee, actually.
Okay.
You know?
Oh, Mara,
Nice,
You're
Mara.
you're so balanced.
Was there any meat in that lasagna?
Some sausage, perhaps.
No, but that's the point, right? Rather than see what was lacking, you saw what was there. Right? Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. I like that, Mara. It's good. Yeah, maybe because we just, I don't know. What do you think, Asu? Maybe we got into it too young or something.
I think what he's saying, like he asks, he's feeling disconnected from family and friends, and he's become increasingly disengaged in idle talk, uninterested, and at times disturbed by gossip. Is this normal? You know what? If you're doing it right, that's totally normal. You should be feeling exactly that. Right? You should be feeling exactly that. But now the question is, how do you respond to that feeling? And you can, you can respond to it on the level of a neophyte, like the beginner, or you can respond to it like in the middle, or you can respond to it as like the more evolved spiritualist. And so in our practice, the idea is we want to get off that neophyte level as quickly as possible, because nobody likes that neophyte, and it's nothing but suffering anyway. The neophyte response is, I'm better than these people. Right? I'm better than these people. You feel it. And so you've come to the truth, but you're still relating to it as a person that has not realized truth. So you've accessed some kind of knowledge and understanding in life that they haven't accessed yet, but you haven't evolved through that knowledge yet. So you're responding to it from a person that still has no spiritual depth. And so the response is, I'm better than them because I'm not engaged in that gossip.
Yeah.
And then when you relate on that level, people don't like that. Nobody likes it. And even you won't like it in the long run, you know. That's why everyone hates religion, because most religious people are neophytes. They might be on to truth, but they're responding to it on that unrealized level. So they're just, it comes off as being judgmental, feeling superior, and, you know, in its more ugly kind of manifestations, it even gets violent or, you know, oppressive. So
Violent. Don't get violent.
What's that?
Don't get violent.
People do that though.
Violent with their ideas of righteousness.
We're right and they're evil, and now
they're evil. Yeah. You know, it's a good phrase that goes with this, Kostuba.
What's that?
You want to be strict? Good. Be strict with yourself and be 100% tolerant with everybody else.
No doubt. But still, I think his question goes deeper. Like, maybe he's being tolerant, but now the question is, how can he relate with these people? You know, I think he said, what did he say? Let's go back here. He said, I know this is a sign that I need to meet more and spend more time with like-minded people, but how can I control my thoughts and emotions when spending time with the people I love and care about and not let it bother me? And so I would say, keep this idea in mind, right? That when you respond, you're onto something, that what they're talking about has no value. It's not uplifting them. It's not uplifting you. You got that. But you have to exist in that space with them. And where's your mind going to be when you're in that space? If it's thinking, if it's like got resentment in it and in your thoughts, you want to go beyond that. And you want to think that the deeper spiritualist is seeing through their mental programming. Just as you were saying a few minutes ago, right? Everyone's a beautiful person underneath. This person may or may not have external beauty.
Underneath.
Yeah, they may or may not have external beauty, but you're seeing, like, on the mental level, on the level of their conversation and their thoughts aren't engaged in a beautiful way. And I don't like it. Okay, but you know that underneath that too is that person, the soul, the self that does have that spiritual beauty. Keep that in mind at all times, right? Like, that reality has to stay with you at all times. And the more that you're acting on the level of that vision, the more that they're going to appreciate you. Like even if they don't get it at first, they'll feel that you don't have any sense of judgmentalism in you. Maybe it's not it's a tall order. Maybe it's not easy to do, but that's what you're working for. So I'm just throwing that one thing out there, right? Don't root yourself down into that neophyte type of thinking, which is like enjoying my spiritual superiority over this person. It's almost like an oxymoron or like some kind of contradiction in terms. If you're on that level, you're really nowhere.
Spiritual superiority. Someone sent me a "What do you think about that, Kastuba" T-shirt.
I saw it. You showed it yesterday.
Oh yeah, that's right. All right, that was a good one, Mikey Goldberg.
Mikey Goldberg.
I got one from Chitra Devi.
Okay,
want to read it, Mara?
Sure.
Give Mara something to do. They're knitting her Shravanam scarves. She's got quite a big Shravanam scarf collection here at Super Soul.
She's just knitting Bhagavatam right into those scarves.
She's knitting the Bhagavatam into the scarf. You know what's great about winter here? I get to wear the Shravanam scarves.
Well, you have an original. You and Kastuba both have.
We have the originals
from before.
That's right.
Probably the first scarves I knit on the show.
Remember, you were saying, "What is she knitting over there?"
Yeah, that was like in the first episode. She was knitting because she would never knitted before. She always just sat there during class. And then when we started the podcast, because we did it before the podcast, and we started the podcast, she started sitting there knitting, and she wasn't like on. Mara, look this up, look that up, fix that, adjust this, and then
I was still
became a
doing
big
it.
critic.
and I would chastise her on the show and say, Mara, you got to stop your knitting. If you were so concentrated with your knitting, and it turns out she was knitting for me for my birthday
all along.
Or she faked it just to make me feel bad. But either way, I got a scarf out of it.
You did.
Yeah, great scarf. It was probably the nicest present I've ever got.
Oh,
You get a knitted scarf? Come on, that's sweet.
All right. This next question's from Chitra Devi.
Chitra Devi.
She says,
one of the 8 primary gopis, Chitra Devi. Right?
Thank you.
I would also like to ask something that I'm wondering for a while now. Since the mind, with its memories, ingrained habits and preferences, acquired skills, and addictions, is part of the material subtle body, how come children who remember their past lives not only... I know, we're just
He's why
Squirrel episode part 2.
You know what I realized about yesterday's squirrel episode, Ragnar?
What?
Because on the show just before that, I shared something with you that I think it was on the show just before that like even the Krishna makes you experience, he makes us all experience certain things in life, and there's kind of no getting around it. So like even though I don't have children, I have to experience some of the things that a parent experiences when they have children.
No, you don't.
And you see that? Look at that resistance right there.
You've never changed a diaper on an airplane.
Even this kind of
never changed a diaper. You've never been the screaming kid on public transportation.
No.
Okay.
But let me ask you a question. Have you ever like thought, oh, this is something great. I'll do it with my kids. They'll love it. This is going to make them happy. I'm going to be so happy to share this with them, and I can't wait to see how excited they become by it.
Yeah, and we always do that. We always do that.
And then you take them there, or you give them whatever you're going to give them, and they're like, oh, whatever, this is boring.
Yeah.
You know that feeling?
Yeah, I did that. Took them to got them the box seats at a Dodgers game.
Okay,
and they didn't even get baseball. They're like, "This is it." I was like, "Yep, this is it. This is the best of the worst." You're right. It is a boring game.
And that's what I went through yesterday, Raghunath. I was going to give you this big juicy squirrel. Raghunath's going to love it.
You gave me Disneyland yesterday, and I was like, "That's it.
Yeah,
this is all we're doing here today."
Can we move on? Did you see the thumbnail from yesterday's thing?
Yeah, that was good.
But you're sitting there with your squirrel, and you're kind of looking like, "Oh, this is boring."
Sorry about that. You really tried to please me.
I tried to please you, Raghunath.
It's like when my parents bought me a bicycle once, and they bought me like a child's bicycle, and I was.
But Oh, yeah.
That's
You're like, this
funny.
is a child's bicycle. But here's the point. This is really important though. The idea that we just can't get around certain things in life, no matter how much we might try.
Yeah.
You know, even if you don't have children, you got to go through that stuff. So.
Yeah, you got around.
Thank you, Raghunath. I thank you for that cold, callous way that you dealt with me yesterday. That unappreciative.
Sorry, man. I'll make it up to you at the picnic. I'll do something nice. I'll let you
right.
ride bikes with Tarun. How about that?
Oh, that would be
Go.
fun.
All right, back to Chitra Devi's question. How come children who remember their past lives not only have memories, but also often show habits, skills, addictive behaviors, like asking to drink liquor or for cigarettes from their
Little
previous
kids. You
reincarnation?
can have a shot of that, and you got to bum a
is-
You
cigarette.
got a
off your-
Marlboro. Very
And
cool.
this is reference from Ian Stevenson's Children Who Remember Previous Lives.
I want to get that book. Let's get that book.
Ian Stevens.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's on audio.
No, I think I might have that book actually.
On audio?
No.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, then there are
also-
3 questions.
Okay.
Right?
So that's part of the subtle body travel with the soul to the next body.
Read that again, Mary, because I think you lagged for a second.
Does at least part of the subtle body travel with the soul to the next body?
Okay.
Are those informations transferred to the soul at time of death? Is that what samskaras are?
Okay.
And what are the scriptural evidence or explanation for how this happens?
Okay.
Very good.
Good question.
Yeah.
Are you with us, Raghunath?
I am. I am. No,
You
you think I'm
scrolling
not.
over
I'm
there? What are
actually
you doing?
researching something right now, but I'm not going to tell both of you.
It's ideal
Thank
if you
you.
do that before the show.
I know, but this thing sort of jumped at me. I just had some inspiration.
Okay.
But I was, you know what I was Googling? Vasana. I wanted to hear what the
Vasana.
Avasana. Avasana is a behavioral tendency or karmic imprint, which influences the present behavior of a person. It's a technical term in Indian philosophy, particularly yoga. Buddhists use it as well. So it's like leaves vasanas are sort of, how are they different than samskaras?
I was afraid you're going to ask me that because it's slipping my mind right now.
Okay. Anyway. Yeah, the subtle body travels with the soul. And sometimes, we were saying yesterday, if there's some trauma, the kid can remember what happened in the last life. And there's lots of cases like this. Dr. Ian Stevenson, University of Virginia, came up with a lot of this stuff. I gave some links for websites that we trust. I trust. How stupid might not trust? I trust. And then, of course, there was my personal experiences. Then Bobby Marchand, who's doing a retreat here this weekend, has some crazy personal stories, too, with her kid.
Yeah.
And
I think she shared some of them on the show. When
Oh,
we
I remember
did the
that. Yeah,
episode
yeah.
on that.
remember?
Yeah.
No, her kid is like her old boyfriend or friend or something like that.
Yeah.
And she mentioned all these things about how he died. And then once the child looked at Bobby and said, "Hi, Bobby." Like in a weird way. It was like a weird type of "Hi, Bobby."
Well, I mean, first of all, like a 3-year-old or however old, 2 or 3 was like, I mean, she just called her mom or mama, she didn't call her by her actual name. So for her to say "Hi, Bobby" all of a sudden is.
And was it just the right time, right? There's something.
When I think she had said like, remember that time I fell down the stairs and hit my head and everything went black?
Yeah.
And then she said,
Yeah.
"I'm
Hi,
okay, Bobby." Or
Hi,
something.
Bobby.
Hi, Bobby. Oh, because she did.
I
That
just-
was in the previous life that she fell down the stairs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
how the ex-boyfriend
okay.
had died.
Remember that, Bobby?
Yeah.
That's crazy. All right.
On a side note, I can't go there now. Ugh. Anyway, I'm gonna just shut up. But yeah, so they get their subtle bodies come with them. They get their, I always say it's a practice. What you have today, if you excel at something, it's a practice. And people get good at art because they practice. People get good at lifting weights. They practice it. But sometimes we find children excel at things. Why? Because this whole life is a practice. We're practicing our subtle body, strengthening our intelligence or strengthening our creativity by practicing it. Or you can also strengthen your addictive behavior, your sarcastic and rude behavior, your violent rage behavior. These are also practices. You want to get good at resentment, practice resenting people, right? If you can't get good at forgiveness, guess what? You got to practice it. These are things. So there's things that devotees want to practice, even if they're not good at them, right? Some people are very addicted to meat eating. It's not a weird thing. It's a practice. We've been practicing eating it, and we might even have a deeper attachment than we even know. That's okay, but we have to practice to get out of it if we want the results of, being a devotee and living a lifestyle as a devotee and getting the benefits that go with that. Everything's a practice. And I find, and I notice, and I'd be open to what you think about this too. I find the real karmic and the subtle body really kicks in through puberty. And that's where you start to find
Okay.
what?
That's the sexual stuff that's accessed at that point, Raghunath.
No, not just sexual stuff, but parts of that's where you might go with that.
You
I was thinking,
basically what you just said is life really begins when sex kicks in.
I said nothing of the sort, my friend. I'm
because
talking about
other samskaras are happening before that too. It's just the sexual ones come up.
No. I think the ego starts to develop as well. And it comes back into what
but
they
that ego
were.
is totally tied to one's sexual identity, Baba.
Okay, all right, but there's other facets that are just not walking around talking about sex all the time. They're the identities of themselves as a being in this world.
Yeah,
Identify themselves of what
as
is
a
cool
man,
and what
as
is
a
not
woman.
cool. A gentleness or a harshness that comes with, like, you don't notice in a child until they go through puberty, a detachment from the parents, philosophy, or attaching to the parents' philosophy and lifestyle too. They're all. I find that it really sort of kicks into the kid after they go through puberty. Not just sexual. There's more to life than sex.
Yeah, Raghunath, Freud would just be picking you apart, right?
Picking you apart. He would pick you apart.
No, you.
You and me are like the Biden and Trump debate. You. Oh, no, you.
Okay.
What do you got to say about that?
It's a great question. It's such fascinating science, and it's so incredible that these texts, these aren't just like religious texts that are just saying, believe this or you're in big trouble. They really get into understanding all of these aspects of the body, the senses, the mind, the self. So the first question was, does at least part of the subtle body travel with the soul to the next body? The answer is yes. Actually, the whole thing goes with you. It's just a question of how much of it you're going to be able to access, which becomes a real important. We're going to talk about that in a second, but hang on to that. You with me, Raghunath? Stay with me.
Yeah, I am.
Raghunath.
I'm still
Mary,
doing a little
take
research.
That phone away from him.
Doing a little research.
No,
it's
I
part
want
of
to
the
talk to you, Raghunath.
I'm listening and researching. I got two eyes. I can do two things.
I'm not going to start until you put the phone down. Take the phone, Mary.
Hare Krishna.
Take it from. Grab it. Thank you.
Why do you work for him?
Don't see it like that, Raghunath. She's working for the good of the podcast and the people. All right.
That's because you think you know what's the best for the podcast.
The people need
That's a
you.
presumption right there.
The people need you, Raghunath. Now let's take a deep breath. You're all worked up.
I'm going to take the reins back from this horse.
You're
all like, what happened? What happened?
You're all worked up. Come on, be with me. Be
right,
here now.
Go.
You're looking at the phone. You're looking at Mara holding the phone.
That Mara's.
Yeah, I looked up. I just wanted to share that
Vasa.
episode 600 was the past life memories episode.
Oh, that
where
was
people from
Bobby's story.
People from our community.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
I had no beard in that.
Okay, I stayed with you the whole time you were talking, Raghunath. I was there listening. I was taking it all in. I was ready to respond.
I have a much more creative intelligence.
Okay, well, shit. Well, just for my own good, just so that I'm feeling.
For you, I'm here. I'm present. Speak to me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's do this.
Okay, so the first question was, does at least part of the subtle body travel with the soul to the next body? Yes. Really, the whole thing comes. But you may be saying, well, why don't I remember it all? Because you don't have access to it all. Okay, and we'll get to that. Now, the next question was, are those informations transferred to the soul at the time of death? And is this what samskars are? They're not transferred to the soul at the time of death. The soul is connecting with them all along. And then the soul will carry them to the next body. And all of that programming, all those informations are going to form the next body, right? The next body will be formed according to that information. And three aspects of one's rebirth will be determined by that information. One is the type of birth that you take, a human, an animal, male, female, like that. Another is the lifespan, how long it'll be. And the third is the quality of that life. you know, what the quality of the experience will be. Now, the next question was, what are the scriptural evidence or explanations for how this happens? There's many. It's all over the place, but maybe the most famous. What were you thinking of? One, Raghunath? Maybe the most famous that talks about how the mind is carried to the next body.
15th chapter.
Yeah, 15:8. Yeah. Which reads Bhagavad Gita 15:8. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life. That's what we're talking about, conceptions, all that programming, samskars. Carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, and it uses an analogy here, as the air carries aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another.
Great analogy, Krishna.
Great analogy.
Good job, Krishna.
Good job. Because just like a flower, will stand in one place, but the subtlest part of the flower, its fragrance, the wind will just waft over it and carry it. And then where it goes, it's really at the power of the wind, It's like it's kind of helpless where it gets carried. And so the soul is kind of like that. The soul in our subtle body is carried after it leaves one body, and it's kind of, we land where we land according to Krishna's plan, right? Now, here, that's 15:8. Here's part of Srila Prabhupada's commentary on that. He says, it is stated here that the subtle body, meaning the mind, which carries the conception of the next body, right? All the programming for your next body is based on your thoughts in the previous, your thoughts, your actions, but especially how your actions are written into your thoughts. So it is stated here that the subtle body, which carries the conception of the next body, develops another body in the next life. This process of transmigrating from one body to another and struggling while in that body is called karshati, or the struggle for existence. So there's great information there, but it's all over the place. It talks about this. I wanted to share one other place, fascinating part of the Bhagavatam. When King Prachini Barhi is being instructed by Narada, right? And King Prachini Barhi, he asks a question to the great sage Narada. He says, the expert knowers of the Vedic conclusions say that one enjoys or suffers the results of his past activities. But practically, it is seen that the body that performed the work in the last birth is already lost. So how is it possible to enjoy or suffer the reactions of that work in a different body? Now, Prabhupada writes this in the commentary. He says, atheists want evidence for the resultant actions of past activities, right? You're saying that what I'm experiencing now is based on something I did even in a previous life. Where's the evidence for this? Therefore, they ask, what is the proof that I'm suffering and enjoying the resultant actions of past karma? They have no idea how the subtle body carries the results of the present body's actions down to the next gross body. The present body may be finished grossly, but the subtle body is not finished. It carries the soul to the next body. Actually, the gross body is dependent on the subtle body. Therefore, the next gross body must suffer and enjoy according to the subtle body. The soul is carried by the subtle body continuously until liberated from gross material bondage.
Imagine if you could zoom out of your existence just a little bit
and see it all happening.
See it all happening. Like, wow, me and Kastuba, we were twin brothers in a previous life or something like that. We could have been twin brothers. And then we had the same mother, and then we were, children, and then we got influenced by spirituality, or sometimes we took this weird birth where we were going to run into each other again. Mara was somehow in the mix. What was Mara? Mara was something. Our older sister. Who knows? It's so interesting. But if you just pull back a little bit, you'd realize you don't own the house. You don't own the kids. You don't own your stuff. You're not a New York Italian white male.
You've been blown around.
We've just been blown around with different identities. In the same way, a beautiful lady, a breathtakingly beautiful lady gets in a Volvo, and then she gets out of a Volvo and she gets in a really crappy old Volkswagen or a GMC Gremlin, or she gets into a Ford Bronco. She's changing vehicles. And in one sense, she has nothing to do with how that Bronco drives, or or how the old Volkswagen without the power steering doesn't work, etc. So it's not that the soul is intelligent because I'm intelligent. That's all hardware. The soul is completely separate than the subtle body. It just uses that machine in the same way a person uses a machine. They get into a Volvo, and then they get out and they get into an excavator, and they have a whole different body.
Raghunath, you're thinking just like me right now.
Oh, okay. Is that good? Is that
You don't
good
sound
or
excited.
bad?
When I say you're thinking like Prabhupada, you're like jumping out of your seat. But no, because here's I'm going to take your analogy one step further. Okay.
And then I'm going to take that one a little further too, and you're going to be
really
amazed.
hard to deal with today.
Or you are.
I see. Okay. Now imagine that, like, when you got in a car and you drove the car, that you had like a pen drive, right?
A pen drive?
Yeah. And like with a USB input, and you would snap that in to the dashboard. And what that pen drive, it was like recording everything about how you're driving. Like, and that pen drive is connected to, you could say, the senses of the car, right? Like, it's connected to a camera that's in the car, whatever you're seeing through the car. It's got microphones that are picking up the sound that's reaching the car, etc. Right? And as you drive, how you respond to what's going on the highway is all being recorded on that pen drive. So, like, for instance, if you're cutting people off, it's being recorded on the pen drive.
Okay.
If you're speeding, it's being recorded on the pen drive. If when a siren is being heard, you don't respond appropriately, it's being recorded on the pen drive.
Road rage, pen drive.
Pen drive.
Good driving, pen drive.
If you're driving safe and in a considerate way, it's all being recorded on the pen drive. And when you're done, and you drive that car for, let's say, a year.
Yeah.
And then when you're done, you take that pen drive and you go to a counter to get your car for the next year. And then there's a person behind the counter that takes that pen drive, plugs it in, gets a reading, and says, okay, for the next year, you'll be driving this car. And they may be like, oh, this is great. It looks like a great car. They may be like, hold it. Then you get in and you plug in that pen drive into your new car, and you realize, I don't have, even it may be there, like, even there's air conditioning in the car, you don't have access to the air conditioner. It seems like I cannot drive this car over 55 miles an hour. Like my last car, I was able to drive that thing 100 miles an hour. Yeah, well, the problem was you're driving 100 miles an hour in a 55-mile-an-hour zone. In this body, you're only going to be able to drive at 55. You don't have access to that speed anymore.
Laura Rubino says her Geico app does that.
Okay.
That's interesting. Your pen drive was, I thought your pen drive was a bad analogy, truthfully, but actually it's because I've never heard of anything doing that, but somehow.
Well, analogies allow you to take things, but stay with me. I'm not done yet, Raghunath.
Okay, I'm still with you. I'm here.
Okay.
Holding pinkies with you.
Just because your arm is out front, Raghunath, it's very obvious that you're going to the chat board and reading it like crazy.
No, I'm just stretching out.
So here's the idea, right? There's a system in place that's meant to train you to drive in a sensitive and appropriate way. Even let's say before you got in the car in the first place, you're given a manual. Here's the right way to drive. Here's the responsible and righteous way to drive. And if you drive that way, you're going to find that you get more freedom and ability to do more on the highway. But if you don't, there's going to be consequences for it. And then that pen drive is recording everything. And then you hand it to the judge, in a sense, and they determine what your next body is. So your body was made up of what's recorded. That pen drive is like your mind. It's like the some scars in your mind, and it's all recorded there. Now, what our situation is that judge is not only taking the pen drive at the end of things, he's in your car with you, and that's the Paramatma, right? The Paramatma is with you with every decision you make, and it's all your thoughts and all of your decisions, your choices. They're recorded in your mind, and it's all accessed by the Paramatma right there in your heart, and it's determining what your next body will be. Now listen to this. This is the answer to the question by King Prajini Bar. He was saying, well, how can we, he said, how is it possible to enjoy or suffer the reactions of the work that was done in a different body, but that body's gone now? And Narada responds like this. The great sage Narada continued, the living entity acts in a gross body in this life. This body is forced to act by the subtle body, right? It's the mind that's moving the body, which is composed of the mind, intelligence, and ego. After the gross body is lost, the subtle body is still there to enjoy or suffer. Thus, there is no change, right? Just like we move from one car to another. Now, Prabhupada writes this in the commentary. One may change the gross body, but he works in the subtle body. People cannot understand the activities of the subtle body, and consequently they are bewildered as to how the actions of one gross body affect another gross body. The activities of the subtle body are also guided by the Supersoul, as explained in Bhagavad Gita 15:15. Sarvasya chaham
Hridisanevishto
matasmritya jnanam
apavanam cha.
I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Now think about this. This is a really interesting idea. Remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Knowledge is all that we've gained. All that we have on our hard drive is our knowledge. And remembrance is the ability to access that knowledge. And forgetfulness is the inability to access that knowledge. Right? So like the Paramatma is there saying, I'm going to give you access to this. I'm not going to give you access to that according to how you've been living and the choices that you've made. I've got it all right here on the pen drive in a sense, right? And I'm going to give you access to certain things. I'm not going to give you access to others. I'm going to give you remembrance. I'm going to give you forgetfulness. It's really just access, right? The purport continues. Because the Supreme Personality Godhead as Super Soul is always guiding the individual soul, the individual soul always knows how to act according to the reactions of his past karma, right? Like some people know how to make money. They have access to that knowledge. Some people don't. They have no access. You know, the little turtle, when it busts out of the shell on the beach, they get this access to this knowledge. Run, you know, it's
When they bust
dangerous
out of
right now.
the nest, they don't come out of the shell.
They don't. The turtles aren't born from
Turtles
shells.
don't come out of the shell.
Of course they do.
Yeah, when they come out of the egg.
Well, the egg is a shell.
Oh, that shell.
Yeah. What do you think I'm talking about? Like a bullet shell or something? What do you?
Well, I thought you meant he comes out of this turtle shell. They don't come out of their turtle shell.
Oh, that shell. I see what you mean. No,
it's like
no,
this
no,
isn't like some Bugs
the
Bunny
eggshell.
cartoon where the turtle comes out of the shell.
The egg shell.
Okay, when it comes out of the eggshell, yes, they get laid in eggs. They're sort
Yes.
of rubbery. I'm not sure if it's like a cracked chicken egg, but go
Whatever
on.
it is. They come out of that shell.
They come out and they have some instinct to go, run
that
for your life.
Is Paramatma granting them access to remembrance. It's dangerous now. Go. Right. Okay, so because the Supreme Personality as Super Soul is always guiding the individual soul always knows how to act according to the reactions of his past karma. In other words, the Super Soul reminds him to act in such a way. Therefore, although there is apparently a change in the gross body, there's a continuation between the lives of an individual soul. So the whole thing of karma is just that it's like this cosmic sensitivity training. And all of it's recorded there in the mind. And then the Paramatma, the God in the heart, is granting us access, you know, to be able to remember or to not be able to remember, to be able to access or not access the memory. We say like, well, if we're in another body, why don't we remember it? We're not granted that access. you know, and it's probably a good thing, you know, because it'd be like just too much emotional stuff going on that we couldn't. We're granted certain access and we're denied certain access. And you know, Krishna said, like in the 10th chapter of the Gita, that what is it that where he says, oh, the verse is slipping my mind right now, but you know, to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love.
Tejam satata yuktanam bhajatam pretty purvakam
dadami
dadami yogatam yenamam puyantite.
To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give them the understanding by which they can come to me. I give them access to understanding the truth by which they can come to me. You know, it's the paramama granting access and denying access. When it's karma, it's within a sensitivity training system. Just like it's going to say you can't drive, you got no air condition in this car. You got to do better if you're going to get a better one next time, you know?
Yeah.
And then when you turn to them and really want to understand, then the knowledge is granted to come to Krishna. And that's why, you know, it's a path of individual endeavor combined with grace. You know, we make the endeavor to turn back, and then God grants the access to understand everything that we need to understand. He can light up the mind and light up the heart just by granting us access to it.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah.
Good.
Oh,
I like that analogy. I'll prove on it later.
Okay.
You light up my life.
Oh, thank you, Raghunath.
You give me hope.
Do I give you hope?
Carry on.
All right.
You light up my day and fill my heart with song. It can't be wrong when it feels so right. Because you light up my life. Thank you.
Raghunath.
Okay. Do we have takeaway? Do we do takeaways? No, we don't do takeaways on question day. All right. That's the show.
That's it.
Ooh.
Tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
See you in the park.
Tomorrow's
everyone.
a picnic in Central Park. Looking forward to that. Also, if you want to do a yoga retreat, autumn time or September, Nikki Haas and myself are doing a Bhakti and yoga retreat here September 20th, 22nd. That's on my website. You can check that out. We got Wisdom of the Sages retreat happening. That's not up on the board yet, but it's coming. But that's happening over Columbus Day weekend. So mark your calendar, save the date. We also have Chant Camp coming up Labor Day weekend. That just went up on my website today. You can see that, raghunath.yoga. Check out that, what's going on at the farm. Also, I'm going to be in Philly at the Bhakti Garden on the 6th. The Friday night kirtan. On the 7th, I'm doing a Balanced Planet Yoga all-day workshop.
Of September.
On the
Of
6th
September.
of what? Oh,
6th
this
of
is
September.
too far ahead, Raghunath.
6th of September, and then September 7th, Balanced Planet Yoga for South Jersey. And the next day, Sunday, I'm going to be at Yoga Bohemia for a Mahasadhana. All those are going to be including book signings and stuff like that.
We're going to Veda Yoga next week.
And we're going to Veda Yoga next weekend for our Wisdom of the Sages retreat. If you haven't signed up for that, get down. I got some cool people coming. Kastuba.
Okay.
Looking forward to that.
I knew there would be.
And me and Mara are going to Washington, D.C. for Radhastomi. Because the next day I got a book signing thing at some library in D.C. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thanks, Professor Snooki. I'm coming to LBI. Do you know that? All right.
Yeah.